Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Today's video topic is going to be struggling? Do the opposite. So I'll get to that in a minute. Some of you are probably guessing what I'm going to be talking about here. Just take a couple of nice breaths, relax your body so that you can breathe comfortably. Sometimes it just feels good to breathe. Sometimes we don't need the words, just calm. It's nice. Let your lungs fill up. So, struggling? Do the opposite. So inevitably, if you're watching my videos, you've got chronic pain, other chronic symptoms. You're either new to this concept of TMS, perceived danger pain, or you've been following me a little bit, or been reading some of Sarno or some of the other experts in the TMS world. But for many people, this is challenging work. It's difficult to figure out how to shut off the symptoms, right? And a lot of people try, and then they make, recovery and, getting better from this TMS, perceived danger pain. They make it a full-time job, and they work harder and harder and do more and more, and constantly scanning for just the right, piece of information, the perfect recommendation or tool or tip or technique, right? So I recognize that. I see that all the time. That's why I do these videos. I don't like to see people struggling. That's why I spend so much time trying to figure out how to simplify this in the easiest way to understand it and implement it, right? Doesn't make it easy, but it is simple in concept. Perceived danger creates the symptoms or pains. Safety. Teaching your brain, hey, we don't need the alarm signal going off all the time. Teaching the brain that we're actually okay already is how we turn it off. It is that simple. So, if you are currently struggling in a lot of despair, fear, freak out even, symptoms are not getting any better, you have frequent flare-ups or you get new symptoms and, it continues that cycle of fear. If you are struggling, the recommendation here is, 1, notice your default response or reaction. Because in many cases, we just react, right? But notice your default and then see how this fits. Do the opposite. So if your default reaction to your symptoms going up is to freak out, catastrophize, worry, oh no, this is going to be a horrible day. Do the opposite. Because inevitably, if you're really struggling, it's likely that many of your thoughts or behaviors or emotions surrounding the symptoms or life in general may be creating more of a sense of danger. And the correlation is extremely clear. Every time I see somebody really in a bad way where symptoms are really kicking their butt, inevitably, their fear is through the roof. Their freak out is super high. Their focus on it is high. The pressure they're putting on themselves to recover yesterday is super high. So what would it look like if instead of your normal reaction, you chose the opposite response and you did the opposite? So instead of freaking out, calmly reassure yourself. Even indifference, like, okay, so I hurt bad today, big deal. So no matter what you do, if your normal response is, I'm getting ready to go out, my symptoms are nagging at me, and your normal response would be to cancel your plans and stay home, what would the opposite be? Reassure yourself that you're going to be just fine and go anyway, right? If you're going to be in pain, you may as well be in pain doing things that are productive or connecting you with others and getting out and doing normal life stuff, right? So virtually any scenario where you're struggling, I'm going to ask you to notice what your default reaction or response is, and then try doing the opposite. There's actually, I don't know if I've seen it recently, but I remember an episode of Seinfeld where Jerry or Kramer or somebody recommended to George that since his life is so awful, just do the opposite of what he normally does. And he started doing that. No matter what his thought or, inclination was, he would just do the opposite of what he would normally do. And all of a sudden, everything in his life kind of turned around and was going great. So it was a funny episode. But it is true. If you're really, really struggling, no offense, but your current approach, your current strategy is not working for you. So if your current approach is causing you to struggle with your thoughts, your fears, your emotions, your symptoms, try doing the opposite. And if you're unsure whether or not your symptoms are TMS or perceived danger pain, how about making a decision that says, darn it, yes they are. I'm going to stick with that decision. Every time you think, oh, maybe I better go to Wikipedia or WebMD, start researching, do the opposite. Put the phone, put the computer away. Don't do it, right? And it goes for anything. If you're struggling to get projects done around the house or for work or whatever, and your default response is procrastination, do the opposite. Sit down and start, right? This goes for everything in life. If you're truly struggling, do the opposite. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to wrap it up here. There's not a lot to this, but try it. See how it feels. Might be a little scary, but so is sitting at home doing the same old thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result, right? We cannot keep on doing and responding the same way and expect our brain to change its perception and all of a sudden turn things off. You got to start behaving and thinking differently in order for things to change up here. It's a brain game. So the mindset definitely needs to shift first. And sometimes doing the opposite of what you're usually doing, which has led you to be struggling, doing the opposite certainly has a good opportunity to kind of shake things up and start moving the needle for you. So I love you guys and gals. I really want you to get better. If you have been hesitating to join the group coaching program because you're not sure if it's for you or don't like group settings and you've been thinking about it, talking about it for months, do the opposite and join. I know that seems self-serving, but really, folks are getting better there. They're feeling more understood, more supported than they do in their regular life. And if your journey feels like you're doing it alone, you're a bit isolated, and nobody understands what you're going through, come join a bunch of people who understand you and understand your situation and can actually help you move through it. So in any event, love you guys and gals. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.